I lost you there for the answer until you said,
Okay.
"Did you lose you there?" I didn't. You were just frozen there for. Actually, you weren't frozen. It's kind of fun. You're going in like slow motion the whole time.
Okay. Is it back? Are we good?
It's back. We're good. Yeah, I hear you
Okay.
now.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm on the hotel Wi-Fi. You know how that can
It's
be.
it's fine. Yeah. Well, I don't get to travel in hotels a lot. I wasn't drafted, unfortunately. Again,
Okay.
another
Well,
year, another year missed opportunity for all those teams. All right, welcome back. Offstage Radio. We're on part 3. That's the third part of the. I don't know. I still have been playing with names. They're all over the place, but I would guess it would be the MLB First-Player Draftees of Gonzaga Baseball University's program. I think that's a short enough name that we can stick with that. And that's a good one. That's a good one. So we got Brett Harris. He's the last of the series. Again, part 3, last of the series, joining us. Now, if you follow some other shows I do, which I do a lot of them, so it's not easy to do. Brett Harris has joined me before their big playoff game. Now he's coming back. He's not a member of the Gonzaga baseball team. I mean, he's always a member of the Gonzaga baseball team because that's family. That's family. But he's also a member of the A's now. So how's it? You were drafted? You were drafted by a big league team. Can you tell us like what that feeling was like and how it feels to know that a professional team wanted you enough to bring you on?
yeah. I mean, it's something that I've been, working for since I've been 7 years old. Me and my dad kind of made that like goal when I was in, I don't know, grade school for sure, and just there's a lot of blood, sweat, tears, and bumps and bruises along the way. So it's just been something I've been working for so long, and I'm living out like my lifelong dream of being a professional baseball player. It was one of like that draft week was one of the more stressful weeks of my life, but we're behind it, and it's just been a blast so far.
So unlike the other two that came on before, we actually catch you when you've started with your team. So what's it been like being down there, and what's the biggest difference to you being with the professional club or being with the Gonzaga baseball team?
It's been awesome. I mean, you're surrounded by guys that are all living their lifelong dreams too. So there's a lot of passion in the game, and you're getting paid for it now too, which is cool. But I would say one of the biggest differences is just there's a lot of guys around you from a lot of different backgrounds. I mean, guys that can't speak English from Latin America, and guys in our like my personal draft class, just from all over the country. So a lot of different backgrounds. Because West Coast here in Gonzaga, or at Gonzaga, it's more centralized. I mean, a few kids from here and there, but it's mostly the West Coast guys. So I think it's just awesome being able to play with guys from just pretty much all around the world. So it's not really a big change, but it's just cool to be around different guys from different backgrounds, baseball backgrounds and ethnic backgrounds. So.
And how's it were you happy to know that you're staying kind of West Coast? I know minor leagues can be I don't know where all the Oakland minor leagues are personally, but I know minor leagues you can be God knows where with the Oakland
Right.
A's. I think the A's have one, unless I don't know the minor league switch up. I don't remember everyone went, but I think they have one in the East Coast because I used to work with the Renegades, and I think they played. Oh man, I can't even remember. I think they were for the A's though. Their minor league single A short season at the time. But how's it feel being like still a West Coast person, even though you're drafted?
I mean, I loved it. I mean, I spent the year out here at junior college, so I'm kind of used to Arizona a little bit. At least I thought so before I got back to the Heat. But it is cool. But all the affiliates one's in Michigan, one is in California in Stockton, so that's the closest one to Oakland. But AAA is in Vegas, so I'll kind of be bouncing all over the place. If and when I work my way up there. But I mean, I love being on the West Coast. Obviously, I spent a lot of time out here, and especially a place I'm kind of familiar with. But I do have family in Florida, so I was good with either one. There's positives to both. So, but I'm just loving every day.
So which team did you get assigned with? Like what league, what level, and what team?
So they haven't really like placed this yet. Right now we're in like an extended spring training. They brought our whole draft class together, and just kind of it's kind of weird because they usually have the draft beginning of June, and so you come right off your college season. They can just ship you right off after they sign you. But like here is like middle of July or like earliest July. A lot of guys had played for a month and a half. And so they're just kind of getting us back into like, I guess like baseball shape. I mean, all of us kept working out, but just kind of teaching us like what they like to do here and stuff like that. So they haven't really assigned me to a team yet. But I hope in the next week or two that we start kind of moving around a little bit.
So what do you do with this extended spring training? This actually give people insight that fall baseball last year when that's all there was. What is extended spring training like? Is it just practice? Is it a lot of scrimmaging? What is it?
It's kind of just like they're trying to establish like routines. Like we haven't really started playing games yet. They kind of wanted just to show us like, what they want and, just basic things like ground balls, like hand positioning, hitting, stuff like that, just to kind of establish like a routine, kind of like get us acclimated to the weather as well. Because it's been way hotter than any of us are used to. And so, but today we actually, for the first time, did live at bats, and that was like the first like real baseball thing that we've done. And it's just good to be playing ball again and doing it in the sun every day with a bunch of guys I love the guys that we drafted. So it makes that so much easier just to go out there and have fun with all that.
How are your at bats? Did you feel like you were a little shaky? Did you feel like shaky going up there, like because you're in a professional environment now, or did you just go up there and do your thing?
I actually don't really get like nervous or jittery. I don't know. It's something I just like haven't really had. Like I try and play loose. Like, I mean, when I'm playing at Gonzaga, I'm always like laughing and joking around. I just like try and like be as loose as possible. So that's like kind of what I did today. And, it was a change just because, everything's a little bit better. Velocities are higher, off speed's a little bit better. So it's better competition, obviously. But it's just fun to compete again. I miss that part of like baseball and like games and stuff is like competing. So you can practice all you want. You're really not competing against anything. So it's just good to do something competitive. So a
couple minutes for a couple more questions, but one I really wanted to talk about, and we talked about the other two, and I learned this in the Alec interview. I had no idea about this. Again, they skipped on me on the draft again. It's about 10 straight years they missed out on number one prospect. But so he said that you guys negotiate in the draft. So what teams were you talking with, if you could say, or at least wanted? And when did you start talking with the A's? Was it early on? Was it a little later? Did they come in later? Things like that. And what rounds were you expecting? Like you went in the 7th, but were you expecting a little earlier? Were you expecting later?
Yeah, so I actually talked to 22 different teams. So I talked to almost all of them. And whether that was like either like a text message, I called on I was on the phone with I think around like 15 to 20. So almost all of them called me. The A's were actually the first to call me after our season ended. Most of these scouts wait to call you over, so you're not like getting caught up in pro ball and focusing on that. So they kind of wait until your season's over. But the A's were the first ones to call. I heard something like a week before from the A's asking for. I've had a heart problem and stuff like that in the past. They were like getting paperwork and stuff. But then that scout texted me the night before the draft, and we set up a phone call, and he was kind of just asking like what I want to take and what rounds and stuff like that. So I was in contact with them pretty much throughout the whole process. But I mean, I talked the morning that I got drafted. They called me before and said like, "Hey, are you still good with this deal?" And I said, "Yep." And then they called me in the 6th round and said, "Hey, you're going to be our next pick." And it was like the longest 10 minutes of my life waiting for my name to pop up on that screen. It was a long 10 minutes. So, but it was stressful. Every time my phone rang, I start sweating, and it's just a anxious filled time. But I got to spend it with family, so it was awesome.
Tom, stop calling me. I'm waiting for them to call me. Stop. Keep calling. Stop. And then the next time, like, Tom, I told you, hey, this is the A's. Oh, hey. Hey, how's it going?
I love
Where were you when you were watching that? Because I think it's the second day of the draft, I believe. So where were you? Were you at home? Were you somewhere knowing it was going to happen?
Yeah, so I just spent it at home. I didn't want to really be out anywhere or anything like that. I mean, it was my grandma, my grandpa, my brother, sister, mom, dad, and my girlfriend. That was everyone who was hanging out there. And then afterwards, I went straight to the mall to grab an A's hat from Lids. I wanted to get some swag as soon as possible. But then we kind of just hung out at the house, and people came over and we celebrated. So it was fun.
So were you able to go down to Oakland and they kind of like introduced you? You signed your contract there and stuff like that, like how they do in maybe some other sports or the higher picks, where you do it all there and you get to see the facility that you'll one day be playing in?
Yeah, so I think it had to do a lot with like COVID. We didn't go to the A's stadium in Oakland. I mean, we came down here and did all of that.
Okay.
So we had kind of the same deal. I mean, they showed us around the facilities and everything, but we all didn't go to Oakland because they wanted us to quarantine and stuff like that for a few days. So it would have been quite the process out in Oakland. So they just brought us here instead.
So let me ask you some Oakland A's housekeeping stuff. This is just being a baseball fan. Are you going to pursue third base? Are you going to try to go? Because they have a pretty good third baseman over there in Oakland. He's pretty good.
Yeah, some guy named Matt Chapman.
Yeah. Mark Chapman or something like that.
Yeah. Whatever his name is. For the most part, I think I'm planning on staying at third. They have to me about move around to other places in the infield and possibly even the outfield. So it really just depends on where, availability and on rosters and stuff like that. So there's a lot of moving parts, and they do know that I can play multiple positions. So, but for right now, it's just sticking at third, and we'll go with that.
Yeah, I mean, being able to play anywhere on the field. When I used to coach young kids, I would tell them, play anywhere. Literally, go play anywhere. You never know what kind of opportunities it's going to open. And the ones that played anywhere usually played through varsity and up, because they'll play here, and the coach always had a spot for them. And the other ones, they're usually gone before high school, because like, I'm playing shortstop. That's it. Well, there's 30 kids that are going to try to play shortstop. So you're not going to be the only one trying to do it. So that's good. And I mean, following Gonzaga, anybody that follows Gonzaga knows you can play anywhere on the field, because we've seen you all over the field. But yeah, that's a tough guy to beat out, but I think you got it. I think you can get him. Get that match.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, I hope to work out with him in the spring, learn a lot from him. I actually got to hit BP with Chris Davis today.
Oh, wow.
They just signed Davis again, so I got to take BP with Chris Davis, and he was hitting in live at bats with us. So that was pretty cool to see him and see how big Lear does it and everything like that. So
now
that was fun.
Now you saw that up close and personal. Does his ball come off the bat just different than you've ever seen?
Yeah, I've hit with a few big leaguers before. And I mean, just everything's so pretty. I mean, it's just like, it's so effortless, and, they just up there and not try and do too much. And it's just so cool to watch them hit. There's a lot of guys that can go up there and just swing for the fence and pop everything up. I mean, they just do everything so so smooth, and it's fun to just see how a big leaguer does it. I mean, because that's kind of what the minor leagues are. It's like you're training to become a big leaguer and figuring out how to do that. And so, the earlier you learn about that, and find out their routines and what works for you, because everyone's different. But it's just cool to see those guys and how they do it. So,
were you able to get any advice from them or anything like that, or you just kind of got to hit with them?
Yeah, I didn't really get an opportunity to sit down and talk with him. I think he'll be around in the next couple of days, so hopefully I can pick his brain. I like to talk to people like that. I like to, I don't pass up any opportunities to gain any knowledge. You never know when someone has something that you could find very, very useful and possibly change your career. Because I've heard many stories about that. Some minor leaguer talked to a big leaguer, or right when he got called up or something, and someone who's done it for 10 years gave him some advice and it changed their career. So
yeah,
I'll never pass up. I'm learning. I'm still in the minor leagues, obviously, so I'm learning.
Yeah. So last question here. What are you going to take with you from Gonzaga? What did you learn there that will just stay with you your entire career?
Probably just the family, kind of just the family aspect of Gonzaga baseball. I was at the University of Houston my first year of college, and it's just the locker room wasn't as close, and we kind of had pods of friends and stuff, but it was at Gonzaga, I mean, obviously there's friend groups and stuff, but in that locker room, I mean, we're all brothers. I mean, we're all practicing, thousands of hours together. We're all putting in work, and it's just how close those guys were, and everyone had each other's back. And I mean, they do say Zag family, but it didn't take me long to realize that it wasn't just some slogan. But it is special. That's one of the main reasons I actually chose Gonzaga, because I saw just from my short weekend there. I saw the alumni weekend. There was 115 of them or something. So it's special there. I've already been calling my mom, figuring out hey, I'm going to alumni weekend. I don't know when, but I'm gonna make it. I gotta make it. So I'm already planning on getting back up to Spokane soon.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for coming along, and we wish you the best of luck. And that concludes the 3-part series, the Gonzaga MLB First-Year Draft, Gonzaga Baseball family that are now going to be in the majors soon series. It's a short title, but we definitely got through it. Thank you guys for joining us, and thank you, Brett, for joining us.
Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate your time.